Right now, there's a very good chance your liver is under attack, and you may not feel a single symptom. No pain, no warning, no obvious sign that anything is wrong. But inside your body, your liver could already be filling with fat, becoming inflamed, slowing down, and struggling to do the hundreds of jobs that keep you alive every single day. And if this damage continues long enough, it can turn into fatty liver disease, then fibrosis, then cirrhosis, and eventually liver failure. Now here's the scary part. Millions of people walking around with fatty liver disease don't even know they have it. In fact, many people discover it completely by accident during a routine scan or blood test. And what's even more shocking is this. A huge number of these people don't drink alcohol at all. That's because modern fatty liver disease is no longer mostly about alcohol. It's about food. The foods people eat every single day. The drinks they believe are healthy. The heart-healthy products pushed in commercials. The snacks hiding in kitchen cabinets right now. And the worst part? Most people are getting completely confused because the nutrition advice out there is a disaster. One person says avoid fat. Another says avoid meat. Another says eat whole grains. Another says fruit is unlimited. And most people end up frustrated, overwhelmed, and completely stuck. So in this video, we're going to clear the confusion once and for all. We're going to talk about the real cause of fatty liver, the foods silently damaging your liver, the biggest nutrition myths, and the foods that truly help your liver recover naturally. And trust me, some of what you're about to hear completely goes against what most people have been told for decades, especially when we get to the truth about sugar, grains, vegetable oils, eggs, and saturated fat. So stay with me until the end, because the #1 liver-supporting food shocked even researchers, and almost nobody talks about it anymore. What your liver actually does. Before we talk about food, you need to understand just how important your liver really is. Your liver is not just another organ. It's one of the hardest working systems in your entire body. Researchers from the Cleveland Clinic explain that the liver performs more than 500 essential functions. Think about that. More than 500 jobs every single day. Your liver filters toxins, processes nutrients, balances hormones, stores vitamins, regulates blood sugar, produces bile, helps digestion, processes fats, controls cholesterol, supports immune function. And when your liver becomes overloaded, everything suffers. Your energy drops, your metabolism slows, inflammation rises, hormones become imbalanced, and fat starts building inside the liver itself. That's fatty liver disease. The real cause of fatty liver. Now here's where things get interesting. Most people think fatty liver comes from eating fat. That's not really true. The real problem is overload. When the liver receives more fuel, more toxins, and more stress than it can handle, it begins storing fat. And there are 4 major things that overwhelm the liver more than anything else. 1. Alcohol. This one is obvious. Alcohol is processed almost entirely by the liver. That means every drink creates extra work. Over time, alcohol damages liver cells, increases inflammation, and leads to scarring. That's why alcoholic fatty liver disease has existed for decades. But alcohol is no longer the only major problem. 2. Sugar, especially fructose. This is the one most people completely underestimate. Researchers now believe sugar, especially fructose, is one of the biggest drivers of modern fatty liver disease. And here's why. Unlike glucose, which many cells in the body can use, fructose is handled almost entirely by the liver. That means every soda, candy bar, sweet coffee drink, fruit juice, and processed snack dumps extra work directly onto the liver. And when the liver gets overloaded with fructose, it converts much of it into fat. That fat stays trapped inside the liver. Over time, the liver becomes swollen, inflamed, and insulin resistant. Researchers from the Harvard Medical School and the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases have extensively studied this connection between fructose and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and the evidence keeps getting stronger. The fruit confusion. Now let's clear up another huge misunderstanding. People hear natural sugar and assume unlimited fruit is healthy. Not exactly. Fruit contains fructose too. Now obviously berries are not the same as soda. Whole fruit contains fiber, water, nutrients, and antioxidants. But if someone is already insulin resistant and already has fatty liver, constantly eating massive amounts of bananas, grapes, mangoes, pineapple, smoothies, and fruit juice can absolutely worsen the problem. The liver does not care whether fructose came from organic juice or candy, it still has to process it. That's the key people miss. 3. High insulin levels. Now let's talk about insulin. This is one of the biggest missing pieces in the fatty liver conversation. Insulin is a storage hormone. Its job is to move nutrients into cells and store excess energy. But when insulin stays high all the time because of constant snacking, sugar, processed carbs, and overeating, the body gets stuck in storage mode. Fat burning slows down, fat storage increases, and the liver becomes congested. This is why fatty liver disease is so closely linked to obesity, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, belly fat, metabolic syndrome. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic have repeatedly connected insulin resistance with liver inflammation and fatty liver progression. The big fat myth. Now here's where things become controversial. For decades, people were told saturated fat was the enemy. Butter, eggs, red meat, animal fat. People became terrified of these foods. But modern research is showing the story is much more complicated than people were told. Because the body can create saturated fat from excess sugar and excess carbohydrates. That's called de novo lipogenesis. In simple English, the liver turns excess sugar into fat. This means many people blaming steak and eggs for fatty liver are completely missing the real issue. The real overload often comes from soda sugar, processed foods, constant snacking, refined carbs, insulin resistance, not necessarily natural fats. The real danger of vegetable oils. Now let's talk about one of the biggest hidden problems in the modern food supply. Industrial seed oils, vegetable oils, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil. These oils are heavily processed and extremely unstable under heat. Researchers studying inflammation and oxidative stress continue investigating how oxidized oils damage cells and increase inflammatory burden inside the body. And where does much of that burden end up? The liver. Because the liver has to process all of it. Fast food restaurants repeatedly heat these oils over and over again. That creates oxidized compounds and toxic byproducts. This is one reason fried foods are so damaging. Not simply because they contain fat, but because of the type of fat. Foods that actually support the liver. Now let's talk solutions. Because your liver is incredibly resilient, researchers from the Johns Hopkins University and the American Liver Foundation note that fatty liver can often improve dramatically with the right lifestyle changes. And one of the biggest keys is reducing inflammation and lowering insulin. Eggs. Eggs are one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. They contain choline, B vitamins, healthy fats, high-quality protein. Choline is especially important because it helps transport fat out of the liver. Low choline intake has actually been associated with fatty liver development. Yet for years, people avoided eggs because they feared cholesterol. Modern research is increasingly challenging those fears. Meat. Good quality meat provides protein, iron, zinc, B12, amino acids needed for repair. Grass-fed beef and high-quality animal foods can be incredibly satisfying and help reduce cravings for processed foods. The key is quality and overall diet pattern, not simply blaming meat. Cruciferous vegetables. Vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, arugula, cabbage contain compounds that support detoxification pathways in the liver. They're rich in fiber, nutrients, and protective plant compounds. These foods support liver function naturally. Omega-3 fats. Omega-3 fats from salmon, sardines, mackerel, fish oil have strong anti-inflammatory effects. Researchers continue studying their role in improving metabolic health and reducing liver fat accumulation. The superfood myth. Now let's clear up something important. There is no magical superfood, no single berry, no miracle powder, no drink that detoxes your liver overnight. That's marketing. Real healing happens when you remove what harms the body, give the body proper nutrition, lower inflammation, improve metabolism, support natural function. That's how healing actually works. Final message. Your liver is incredibly powerful, but it's not indestructible. And the scary thing about fatty liver disease is how quietly it develops. Most people feel completely normal until they don't. The good news? The liver is also one of the few organs capable of remarkable recovery. Give it the right environment, and it can begin healing surprisingly fast. So if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Stop focusing on miracle foods. Start removing the things damaging your liver every single day. Because real health is not about chasing shortcuts. It's about understanding how the body actually works. And once you understand that, everything changes.